So, like all new codexes in 10th edition, the T'au have come and they have brought along a brand new combat patrol box with them. The current box is the really quite solid one, which contains an Ethereal, a Cadre Fireblade, 10 Fire Warriors, 3 Stealth Battlesuits, and a Ghost Keel. I always thought it was quite a cool, interesting, nice little box. It gave you some troops, it gave you a couple of cool HQ options, and it gave you some exciting units in the Stealth Battlesuits and the stompy robot of the Ghost Keel. Unfortunately, like we have seen in other combat patrols for 10th edition codexes, this does seem to be getting cut down somewhat in their new box, although it's worth noting, unlike most of the other 10th edition combat patrol boxes we've seen, there is actually a bigger unit in this. This box does come with a vehicle. There was a lot of talk when we saw the earlier 10th edition combat patrols that they were just going purely infantry focused, because not many of them, apart from the Necron one I think, had like a bigger monster or vehicle. So there is hope for future boxes to not just be pure infantry, but to actually have something a bit bigger and more exciting in there too going forward. In any event, this new combat patrol for the T'au, which is called the Sudden Dawn Cadre, replaces all of the stuff in the current box with a T'au commander, 10 Pathfinders, 10 Fire Warriors, and a Devilfish transport. So I would say right off the bat, it is a bit less exciting than the current one. The Devilfish is cool, and I would personally rate the commander over an Ethereal and a Fireblade, but losing the Ghost Keel and losing the Stealth Suits just feels like a pretty big hit to me. The Stealth Suits in particular are rather good in the new codex with some solid rules to go along with them. And I also think in general breacher teams are still considered to be more useful overall than something like a strike squad. So while I do get why they've put the 10 Fire Warriors in, they are arguably thematically the more generic troop choice for the T'au over the breacher squads. I would say if you are looking for these boxes to get an optimal set of units, the strike squad is less impressive than breacher teams are. It's also somewhat annoying in that, like the Dark Angels box, the commander doesn't actually have anyone to join. He is a battlesuit, so he can of course join crisis teams, but in this box he's kind of on his lonesome. He's like the Gravis captain from the Dark Angel box in that he's there, but he's just going to be all by himself. He's got no squad that he can join, so he's not going to have anyone that he can buff up or that can potentially keep him safe from enemy shooting. Overall, in terms of points, we obviously don't know final points yet because the codex costs are always immediately invalidated, but looking at the latest field manual, you are looking at up to 110 points if you build the commander as the Cold Star version, 90 points for the Pathfinders, 80 points for the Strike team, and then 75 for the Devilfish. So that nets you a total of around 355 points, although it could be as low as 335 if the cost for the Enforcer commander stays the same. So it's really not a huge amount of points all told. The older current box for comparison gets you roughly 390 points, so you are losing a little bit of value in comparison, but it is generally on par with what we've been seeing in most of the combat patrol boxes so far in 10th, which generally range from anywhere in the low 300s to the high 400s mark, based across the various armies that have had their 10th edition combat patrols yet. So it's not out of the realms of what we were expecting, but I think it would have just been nice if it had managed to break that 400 point mark. Again, like the other boxes, we're going to assume that this will come in at the usual £95 price tag, as is standard for combat patrols these days, and that nets you the commander, which is usually £37.50, the Fire Warriors, which are £35, the Pathfinders, which are £27.50, and then the Devilfish is £35. So all in, all told, that is £135 worth of models. So you are saving about £40 on the units separately, and that essentially means you're getting the commander or the strike team or the Devilfish for free. As usual, it's roughly a 30% saving, so it is the generic amount we've seen from combat patrols. It's a nice little saving, and it's nothing really too unexpected again from what we have come to expect from the combat patrol boxes so far. I just think personally this box is a bit dull, and to be honest, most of the combat patrol boxes in 10th edition have been quite dull. They just seem very safe. Like, they're decent enough for a brand new player to an army, but I just don't see them having much use for a player that is already established in that army. And certainly for this one, for anyone that already plays T'au, will they really need more Fire Warriors or another Commander or another Devilfish? Probably not. And I mean, on top of that, there's nothing here that I would call exciting. Like, for me, something like the stealth teams or the Ghost Kill, or go to other combat patrols, things like the Redemptor Dreadnought for the Dark Angels, they are unique and cool and fun, exciting models. And it seems like the current combat patrols in 10th just have become much more homogenous. They've just got the basic, generic, plain units that are useful to have, don't get me wrong, but they're just not super exciting to kind of build and paint and play with. It's still a decent 30% saving for sure, and as I said, if you are wanting to start a new T'au army, then yes, I think this set could be a good one to get. It will get you units that you definitely may want. Pathfinders, a Commander, the Devilfish, the Fire Warriors, they're all usable and useful, but they're just not optimal in my view, and I think certainly if you already play T'au, you probably won't need any more of them because they're units that you will already likely have. So I just think it is another box which is maybe worth looking at if you're a new player. It is the usual, as I said, decent saving, and it can definitely set you off on the right foot for starting the army. But overall, I'm just a bit disappointed in it, and disappointed with most of the combat patrols in 10th because none of them seem exciting. They are just fine and functional and usable, but very, very plain, and this follows that line very, very closely, although you could argue, I guess, it does have a vehicle, which makes it a bit more exciting than some of the other combat patrols we've seen. So those are just my thoughts on this new combat patrol coming with the T'au Codex, but as always, what do you make of it? And will you be picking up a copy? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.